1 million homes just crossed the market for real estate. So for years, 5 years, I think it was 6 years, we haven't hit the 1 million mark for homes for sale. And now we've reached it and it's still increasing. Here's the challenge with that. A lot of people are saying that a crash is brewing. But I'm going to tell you that may not be the case. And yes, we're seeing Florida and Texas and other states getting inundated with a lot of property. But there's a twist, and that's what I want to show you today. Come join me here in Housing Data Nerds. I think I'm the only nerd right now, but I promise we're going to have more people. If this is your first time watching, please subscribe and share this with other people. Here's what we're going to cover today. An inventory surge where listings are exploding 40% over what they've normally seen. A permanent deficit, the chart that the Fed watches. This is the Fed, and this is exactly what they're watching for any type of deficit in inventory. I'm going to go over that. And then winning moves, the pricing formula sellers must use this summer if they actually want to sell their home, because we're also watching a lot of them play catch up. Here we go. Take notes. We're going to have some fun on this one. I'm Tristan, real estate for 21 years, run a large community of real estate agents. I'll have many companies, some that you will know, some that you know, like Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. Let's get right into this one. I want to share this great graphic that I have for my friends at Realtor.com. Danielle Hale is the chief economist there, and she says, the number of homes for sale is rising in many markets, giving shoppers more choices than they've had in years. Sellers are becoming more flexible on pricing, underscored by the price reductions we're seeing. And while higher mortgage rates are certainly weighing on demand, the silver lining is that the market is starting to rebalance. See, notice that keyword rebalance, right? This could create opportunities for buyers who are prepared. And I want to showcase the next piece to this, because as we get into these graphs that I'm going to show you, I want to make sure that you understand them because they're important as to where we're going as a nation. Remember, this is national. All of you are listening in from different parts of the United States, and I'm giving you more of a national picture. So anytime you want to dive into more of regional, I want you to go out, reach out to your agent, or go to Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com or our website and just take a look at it regionally. Every region has their story. Here, you're going to see inventory topped 1 million for the first time since 2019. That's big news, because you see that red line down the middle. And if you're colorblind, I'm so sorry. It's the thicker line in the middle. To me, it's red. To some of you, colorblind, it's not, but it's 2020. It's the line at the top. You see there's a little legend that says 2017, 18, 19, 20. That line in the middle, inventory 2020 started going down dramatically. You started seeing now the other line. We're 2024. That's last year, because I'm going to bring you up to speed on the next slide. Last year, green, it's like, wait a second, we're going back up. It didn't quite hit that million mark. You see the 1000 line right in the middle. It almost did, and then it peaked, and then it started going down. But let's take a look at this late March-ish. It hit that mark over 1 million. Is that late March right there? Maybe April. No, yeah, April. But April-ish, May, getting into May, you started to see now finally it hit the threshold of over 1 million. Now you have to start paying attention, because you look at the previous year, 17, 18, 19, those are all over 1.2 million, and then it peaked down. For years, we've been saying we have a deficit in the amount of listings out there, and that's created a lot of urgency and a lot of people saying, well, I can't buy the home I want because there's not enough homes out there. Because yes, we are seeing 1 out of every 3 boomers are saying, well, I'm just going to hang on to the home. I'm not going to sell it because I don't need to. They don't owe anything on it. So of course, why would they sell it? Or their interest rate is so low that they don't need to. They're hanging on to that. On top of that, those people that are deciding to list, they're listing for so high that it's creating a challenge for people that are trying to buy, especially first-time home buyers. How are they going to purchase with prices being so high? So what inventory does when it rises, the rise of inventory allows for more prices to come down because there's a lot to choose from and sellers have to get real in some markets. Now, here's where I want to show you. Take a look at this graph, because if we take a look at the Midwest and the Northeast, you're going to find that there's just not enough homes. You've got places, and if you're from there, right? New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, all those areas, there's just not enough homes. And so prices are flying off the shelves. They're still going in under a month. Now, in the South and part of the West, it's a different story. And if you look at the South primarily, that's the one that's been on the news the most. We've got Florida and Texas because that's the place where you have a lot of new construction. And that new construction has caused a problem because on top of all of the homes that are there, the resale homes, the housing inventory that you and I see normally, now you have new construction being built and sold at a discount because there's just so much there. So you have to start paying attention. Where is the housing deficit? Well, for so many years, we had a problem with building because after this is now, we have to go back years, right? And this graph doesn't show how far back you want to go. But after that big debacle we had in 08, 09, you had a lot of housing builders saying, well, you know what, I just can't build. It's just not going to be profitable for me. I'm going to step out. Some of them just ended up crashing and saying, why would I build if I got burned? And for years, we were playing catch up. And at the same time, you saw our population go up. And that's a challenge because most people are saying, well, look what's happening in Florida and Texas and parts of California and other states, where now you have a lot of these states, more inventory than what's being sold, which is causing prices to go down. And some sellers are saying, whoa, what's actually happening? But the big story that nobody's talking about is what's in this graph. There's a housing deficit. The housing deficit isn't being seen as clearly right now because prices are too high. As you start seeing prices drop in some areas, you're going to start seeing now sellers say, okay, got it. I know what the price should be. And you're going to finally start meeting the buyers where they can actually afford. It's not going to happen everywhere because, like I said, parts of the Northeast, parts of California, parts of other states are just crazy with prices. We're going into a more even market. I know that's not what you want to hear, but again, it's regional. Parts of Florida are going to be really affordable because inventory is just growing more and more there. Texas as well, right? We're not seeing a complete slowdown there. And look at this, 4 in 10 sellers sold for less than their asking price. This is according to NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And so this is a trend you're going to have to start watching because it's going to be more like 6 out of 10 through the summer. And think of what happens typically in the summer. Prices typically go up. There's more inventory naturally. If we go back to this graph, look at the arch, right? You have a rise in listings for May, June, July, August, and then it's kind of stable there, September-ish, October, and then you start seeing it go down for the holidays, right? Because a lot of these places that typically want to sell their homes, they're not going to sell in the middle of winter where we actually have real winters, right? That's only if you have to. So a lot of people take off their home from selling during those times. So inventory is normal that it's growing now. You just have to pay attention to prices dropping because prices don't usually drop in the summer. That's the crazy thing right there. 1/3 of sellers had to reduce their asking price. Take a look at that. I think this is important, a trend that we've got to watch. Days on market. This is important because the longer homes stay on market, look at the bottom. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, it's slowly been going up. 2022 was an anomaly there, right? But it's slowly creeping up again. And I know as you're looking at this and saying, well, dang, Tristan, this is crazy. When is it going to reach 60? Well, let me put this in perspective. The average home would normally take, in a normal market, 5 months to sell. That's definitely more than 50 days, right? What is the norm right now for it taking too long is 90 days. If you're like, wow, it's been on the market 90 days, that means we're priced wrong. So in your market, you've got to take a look at this. If it's under 30 days, you've got an amazingly hot market. But the fact that the days on market through 2025 of May is 51, That's just telling you that homes are still selling and we're watching it still happen, right? This is the actual data. This one's from Realtor.com. Inventory has risen since 2021. This is through May of 2025, right? Just a few weeks ago. Look at this. We hit 1 million homes now for sale. And that's a big story because 2021, we were definitely really low. There just weren't enough homes for the current people wanting to buy. 2022, yet not enough homes. But the challenge is that all of a sudden prices started going up. And when prices started going up, now not only are there not enough homes, there's just not enough affordable homes, right? So now we still have the issue of not enough homes. But on top of that, we're worried about not enough affordable homes. And that's where we're at right now. That's the reality. And so things are not crashing. Like people want prices, me too. I want prices to go back down to where they were in 2018, 2019. But in reality, when you look at graphs, the fact that inflation goes up, the cost of everything goes up, it's never going to happen. If things go down, they're going to go down incrementally and then go back up immediately. That's the bad news for you. The good news is that there's a lot more inventory, so you get to negotiate in the areas where inventory is going up. Here's existing home sales. So you could see existing home sales. That means homes that are selling are down. There's just been a lot less transactions. And you see here the graph. If you look at 2021 and 2022, we had sales in the 6 million. That means 6 million transactions happened right there. Homes sold. This is nuts. And then all of a sudden it fell to the 4s and even under 4 there. And homes aren't selling. They're just not. And so as inventory keeps rising and homes aren't selling because they're just not affordable, that can create prices to come down in some areas. And this is why this graph is important. Here's the other piece to this. Days on market going up, right? Which you saw this graph right here. Days on market, right? Definitely going up. And for you, those of you who can't see and they're colorblind, that's yellow, right? Yellow. So I've got a yellow arrow on this one, days on market. And then I've got inventory right there. Inventory is going up, which you also saw inventory going up, right? It's blue. That's crazy. Okay, days on market, inventory going up. All right, Tristan, what does this mean? Well, sales are going down. That means sellers have to get realistic about their price, and that's why they're expiring. Homes that are on the market, the sellers aren't budging, and what happens? Well, they're either going to have to change the price, relist it, and put it up on the market for a realistic price for that area where buyers can now afford it, because now that price matches what they can afford for the area. Because when you have a lot more selection, you can be a lot choosier as a buyer, right? And this is all data that I want you to digest. You can take pictures of all this. Go ahead, share with other people. You see here, this source, REDX, more than 1/3 of the homes that expire, that don't sell because the price is too high or whatever happened, 1/3 of them relisted. This is May 2024 to May 2025. Of all the listings that expired, were canceled or withdrawn, that means removed from sale, between that whole year, a little over 1/3 have been relisted so far. And here's the secret: 70% did so for lower than expired price. That means sellers weren't realistic about the price. And you've got to watch out, because if you're a seller listening to this, here are your options. Relist with the current agent, and hopefully they do a great job, right? Or more importantly, if you're the one that is questioning the price of your home, saying, well, I want to stay here even though it didn't sell, you've got to question and say, you're probably going to have to lower that realistically. Look at your market. Relist with a new real estate agent, that's always an option, right? Maybe it was the marketing style. Or just take the home off the market and see where this market goes. And then you could always try this on your own. And if you do, make sure that you just do the marketing correctly, price it right, go on Redfin, go on Realtor.com, go on Homes.com, go on Redfin, explore all of your options. And I think here is where you're going to have to decide what are you going to do in the coming months? Because we're in summer. And from what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot more inventory come up, which I showed you. And I'm also seeing prices come down where that inventory is just rising too fast when you layer in the new construction. And I'm seeing that as a trend through fall, because what's happening right now in the summer isn't normal. We don't usually see price reductions, prices falling in these areas, and not all areas, right? But we don't usually see that happen through the summer. We usually see homes go up, they sell, and they typically sell for a little bit more. And the ones that stay on the market, price reductions, just so that the sellers can adjust and finally sell. I'm not sure that prices are going to continue to go up through the year. I think they remain flat based on all of the data I showed you for one main reason, right? If we go back to that last graph, existing home sales are down. They're down completely. And I don't know that they're going to continue to go up with the inventory rising, right? And if there's just not enough inventory for the people looking to buy, that means in some areas, you're going to have that inventory go up, and then prices are going to have to come down to meet those buyers where they're at. So watch your market. I would say if you're in Los Angeles, it's a mix, right? Some areas are at the peak of going even, pretty even, right? Areas are already at the end. They're going reverse. You're in Austin, Texas, right? You're in San Antonio. You're in parts of Florida. You're already suffering. You've already seen the market go backwards the last year. Pay attention to those areas and pay attention to what areas that are next. If the inventory keeps rising, you might have an opportunity to buy. Share this with anybody you'd think needs this. Follow me and ask me any questions you want. Have an awesome day.